This is it. This is the moment.
This is going to be a bit like the Blue Peter cat signal. Are you ready? So we're going to come up in the floor. So
Okay.
Mabel and Lucy, beware. Here we go. When I press this button, we will reveal the 8th Blue Peter kitten. Here we go. The suspense. Which is it going to be?
What's it going to be?
It's not Mabel who's going through shot.
It is Socks!
Socks, there it is!
Oh, look at Socks! Oh, Socks, how do you like your new name?
Well, what about
Oh, he is blown away. Positively loves it.
Well, Nick Hyam is here with more. Nick, we've been wondering all evening why they didn't just go with Cookie. You've perhaps got the answer.
One report this evening suggests, this is sourced to a Blue Peter insider, that they thought there was something fishy about the vote. This was an online vote, and they had these two names, Socks and Cookie, and until very late in the day, Socks was ahead, and then there was a late search for Cookie, and the technical people thought maybe someone was trying to rig the vote. So they went with the name that had been ahead for most of the time and which came second at the end, Socks. The upshot, though, is that the man who was the editor of Blue Peter at the time has, we understand, been suspended because he was also the editor when Blue Peter rigged the result of a phone-in and persuaded someone visiting the studio to pretend to be the winner of a phone-in competition. And you'll remember the BBC earlier this year was fined £50,000 for that. But the good news, though, is that although Socks was named...
There will be a cat called Cookie.
Indeed, there will be a cat called Cookie. Blue Peter's going to apologise on Tuesday for this latest breach, and it's going to introduce a new kitten who will be called Cookie.
So, if this explanation does indeed turn out to be correct, where does that leave the BBC? I mean, is it sort of extenuating circumstances?
Well, clearly the Blue Peter team, if this is true, the Blue Peter team believes it is, but the BBC's view is that you should not mislead your viewers, particularly if they are children, and that this was a very bad idea indeed. The other instances that we've been told about today, they involve radio programmes, 3 radio programmes, 2 of them on the 6 Music channel, where again, competitions, phone-in competitions were rigged. In the case of 6 Music, in a number of cases, they didn't have any entries, or they had very, very few entries for competitions, and so they invented entries and thus invented winners. And that chimes with something that we'd already knew about, which was a 6 Music programme, the Liz Kershaw programme, which also misled viewers about competitions. And so the boss of 6 Music, the head of programmes there, as you said, has resigned today, and indeed the producer of the Liz Kershaw programme specifically was fired yesterday.
And now all BBC producers are to get special training in observing the guidelines properly.
Yes, the BBC it can't be certain that there are no more examples of fakes and frauds and viewers and listeners being misled, but it hopes that it's got to the bottom of this. It's now trying to move forward. What does it do about it? One of the things it does is take all 16,500 production staff, programme staff working for the BBC, and take them off to give them a mandatory training course to remind them of what the guidelines, the BBC's guidelines, say about this sort of thing, what they should and should not do.
All right, Nick, thanks very much.